Hello, welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast brought to you by myself, Uncommon Fossil, and 10 Types. Why don't you say hello?
Yep. Hello, everyone. My voice is a bit under the weather, so hopefully it holds up for the podcast.
Yeah, and that's hopefully that will encourage us not to ramble on too long, which I think sometimes we might do. But either way, I'm prepared to carry the podcast like usual. So, no changes there really. So we're on episode 39. And I think we've improved over time. We've made some adjustments. We tried some things out, added some things, tossed away some things. I think we are better off than where we started. So I do think we have a very interesting episode. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun to listen to. Looking at the D block, those are the Pokemon from the first year of Sword and Shield, and kind of putting together a Hall of Fame from those cards that all rotate. And only for cards that rotated, right? So like a card like Boss's Orders, there are other new bosses reprinted, right? So they would not count.
Since then, yeah.
Yes.
And then also one thing, actually this idea originally came from the fact that I actually made a tier list or a Hall of Fame for these cards, except I did it like in a different way, and it wasn't a
Mhm.
particularly good way. Um, I don't really remember if I end up with a definitive list, but I guess I'll explain the way we're going through it now.
Mhm.
We each have a list of 20 cards that we think are in consideration. The top 20 cards that could be, I guess, nominees for the Hall of Fame. And then
Yes.
we're going to collectively get 10 of them and put them into the Hall of Fame. This is not something that we have that like exists yet. I mean, it's just kind of a silly thing, but I think it's something that at least I want to end up with a list of cards from like lots of different years. And then we're doing this to set up because rotation will be happening arguably soon. Um, the next rotation, and then we'll put those cards in the Hall of Fame as well when they rotate.
Yeah, right. Initially, I think you mentioned to me doing Hall of Fame for what we have now, but it's like, hey, wait till first. What's going to rotate? Let's wait till the rotation gets closer. And this one, I like the D block because it rotated a while ago, a bunch of months ago, but it's still relatively fresh. But we have a little perspective too, so I think it's a good time to judge the D block. And like I said, we'll probably talk about some other older blocks too, as well. Um,
Later down the line, not today.
Not today, no. Maybe not necessarily next week either. Don't plan that far ahead anyway.
Yeah.
So
One thing I want to add is that the only when you say go back, just go back one block. We didn't really play too much before then,
Sun and
unless we
Moon,
want to
you mean,
research.
right?
Well, the last block of like Sun and Moon, the
Okay.
last year, because
So just one more year, which would be in theory the C block if we actually had that outside of Japan.
yeah, which is by the way where it came from. The block started in Sun and Moon. The first Sun and Moon block or year or whatever is the A block, but that
Yep.
was only in Japan, and that continued for 3 years until we eventually got a block with the D block. That's why it starts with D block for us.
Yeah, and it is very handy. So I'm glad that they did that. Certainly putting these marks on cards if you're sorting out at an event, I think it makes life simpler. Um, so we ready to start digging in to our list now?
A few things I want to say. One, the main thing is live doesn't have the ability to sort by block. BTGO did.
Yes.
Um, live you can sort by set though, and I'll read off the sets. And keep in mind, and there's some weird wiggle room.
Hmm.
With like sets, sometimes they can like be in different blocks. It's very strange. But generally, you got 4 sets every year. So for this block, we got Sword and Shield base set, Rebel Clash,
Yep.
Darkness Ablaze, and Vivid Voltage. And then the mini sets Champions Path and Shining Fates also um, had D block cards, which we will talk about possibly.
Yeah, and also, and that, it doesn't really matter for this, but obviously there are the promo cards, and sometimes there are cards that are in a block that only come out as promos too. But so yeah, Live obviously is not as good as PTCGO. Something like sorting by block would be really good. Just for
Yeah.
this, but just in general, right? There's a lot of features Live is missing. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I don't think this is like a huge deal. Really, it's not useful for too much. You can swap by like standard, and it does
Right.
that pretty well. So I don't think it's like a huge deal, but
Yep.
in this case, it's a bit annoying.
Yep. So, are we going to talk Pokemon trainers or energy first? We had
I think let's start with Pokemon.
You want to
Do you want
start
to go
with
by
that?
type?
Okay. I didn't. I didn't organize them at all. I didn't think about them by type.
Uh,
It's not that
okay,
many.
well, okay, you can go. You can kick us off. Tell me
See,
what you have on your
so
list.
Pokemon. I organized it by attackers and support Pokemon. I will say.
Okay, that's fine. We can talk about attackers first.
And to me, I will just one of my criteria, which we might disagree on, is as I like cards that are more universal, that always have the edge, and therefore attackers are least universal, right? Example being the first card I'll toss out, Eternatus VMAX, goes in one deck, Eternatus VMAX, right? Deck, basically.
Yeah, arguably that's the it's
It was a very powerful deck. It was super
yeah.
good early, and it came back later on before rotation, right, with Eternatus and some other cards. So it wasn't even just it had its dominance early, but it's hung around and it had a resurgence. So I think it's was around long enough and dominant enough. I think it belongs here.
Yeah, and I think it was never really bad either. Um, yeah, I agree with it. That is on my top 20 as well.
Okay. All right, good. Do you want me to keep going, or you want
Yeah,
to?
yeah, yeah. You go off, read off your list, and then I'll talk about mine after.
All right. So here's another. Well, okay. So an attacker. Wow, some of these
Yeah,
aren't
or you
necessarily.
just read off all your attackers, and then I'll say
Yeah,
my
some of
attacker.
them get questionable how you classify them too. So the next is Dragapult VMAX. You really like this a lot more than I did, but it's still very good. It was very good. And uh, Phantom Max Phantom. Oh, should we say what the cards say briefly? By the way, we didn't
Yeah,
do that for
sure.
Eternatus. So Eternatus VMAX 340 HP, which meant it was super tanky. Was it the biggest HP when it came out? Even
Yeah, I know it's the biggest ever.
it's still nothing's been bigger than
Yeah, oh,
340.
yeah, of like standard cards. Yeah.
Yeah, and it had Eternal Zone ability, still has it. You just can't play in standard. If all your Pokemon in play are dark type, then you can have 8 benched Pokemon on your bench. So get a big bench there, and then that part of that paired with the Dread End attack for 2 energy, dark colorless, 30 damage for each of your dark Pokemon in play. So a cap of 270, which today obviously is 10 below that magic 280. So it's not a great number, but when it first came out, it was certainly a big number.
Yeah, well, in 280 was still a relevant number. There's a card that may be on your list that did fix the math some, though.
Yeah, tool, right. We have tools now that
Oh,
do.
wait, what? That's not
Oh, no,
never
not
mind.
that. Sorry. But there are tools also to buff it by 10, right?
Yeah.
To get to 280.
Let's talk about that card now too. Do you know what that card is that I was talking about?
No, go ahead.
Okay. It's Galarian Zigzagoon. I
Okay.
did not have that on my list.
Oh,
But it's a pretty good
that
card.
is on my list. It's under support Pokemon by my
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, and it is for me as well. But or it would be. But I think it's worth talking about with Eternatus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it synergizes with Scoop Up Net, which we'll get to later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's can you tell me why you put it on your list, and I'll tell you why kind of I didn't.
Okay, I mean, it's the ability is Headbutt Tantrum, right? Which does when you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may put one damage counter onto one of your opponent's Pokemon, so bench or active, right? We have some Halucha now just hits the bench, hits 2, but this one hits 1, but could be the active, so therefore you can get that knockout you want. Obviously, for Eternatus, loves it because it's dark. You got to fill up the bench anyway. You had Scoop Up Net to reuse. So it went in a number of decks, is why I put it on the list. Part of it, one of the criteria is universal. Things that are more universal, as I said. So a card like Goon went into a number of decks just to kind of help fix the math. So it was a really nice option. I felt at the time.
Yeah, and then this gets to my criteria a little bit as well. Why I didn't include it, as you said, it is universal.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it's a weaker card than Eternatus. I don't know if you'd agree with that. I mean, it obviously does less damage, but um, and it is universal, but it also is heavily reliant on another card, that being Scoop Up Net.
Yes.
Palucha is very similar to Galarian Zigzagoon, which,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, does it's out now. It's a pretty new card and pings the bench. Is supposed to just the active, or is supposed to the active and the
Right.
bench, but it does more. There's a good argue which is better, but Halucha isn't a particularly good card at all. It sees some play. It's not like a bad card,
Right.
but it's not a great one. Because there's no Scoop Up Net, which I'll talk about. But I feel like if a card's only good because of other supporting cards, then then that card is worse.
Yeah, I mean, Halucha, though, today still gets played in more than one deck, right? So and sometimes it does get played to fix the math and things too. So um, that side. But yeah, Scoop Up Net made Goon much better, obviously, and I think Scoop Up Net may end up being on both our lists. Who knows there, right? The mystery's
Yeah,
there.
who knows? Who knows?
Um, but yeah, Goon went with that. I think it's in the top 20. But we'll see to that. It's because are we gonna just do a top 10? Or are we doing a unified top 20? By the way, we never
I
sort
think
that
maybe we
out.
should also do unified top 20 because
Okay.
I don't think it'll be super hard to determine a top 10, but we'll see.
Okay. So this is on the bubble then in that regard. So because I have it on my list, you don't have it on yours.
Yeah.
All right. So and I have two other. Well, you put under attackers, but they're not necessarily attackers as I look at them. One is another dark Pokemon, because might as well stick with those. And this is
What? Oh,
Galarian
yeah.
Weezing, which it attacks severe poison. And the attack is good. Okay, it wasn't
It's all right. It works. It
it
does what it
works
needs
for
to do.
yeah. So I should put it under support, but it's a weird one, right? So severe poison, your opponent's active poison Pokemon is now poisoned. Put 4 damage down, 4 damage counters instead of one during Pokemon checkup. So adds up fast, which is good, but it's really for neutralizing gas. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, so it has to be the active spot, your opponent's Pokemon in play have no abilities except for neutralizing gas. So you could neutralizing gas one another is what that part means of it. But it doesn't affect yourself at all. But you ability lock your opponent with a stage. It's a stage 1 Pokemon, 130 HP, not terrible. Retreat cost of 3, that was not good. There was Hiding Dark as an option under a special energy that rotated to help make that happen. Um, I think it was. Look, we both played with this card a lot. It was a fun card to play with. Certainly whether it was a fun card to play against, probably wasn't, because it made the game difficult. But it opened up a lot of options, I think.
Yeah, I think one thing to note that's very important that you didn't mention is the coughing, which actually came out in Shining Fates,
Yeah.
allowed you to evolve using your attack turn one going second, which meant
Yes.
that um, you'd always have like you could get.
You could have Wheezing for your opponent's second turn. They were ability locked because you could get your stage 1 up turn 1, right?
Yeah, and there's a card that I'm assuming is on your list that was a pretty good stage 1 with an ability that we'll probably get to.
Okay. So was Wheezing on your list?
Yeah, Glenn Weezing was on my list.
Okay.
The one card that I'm assuming you don't have any other dark attackers, right?
No other dark attackers. So
Yeah, so the one dark Pokemon that I don't have on my list, that I was considering keeping on my list, it was Sableye or Sableye V.
okay.
Sableye V is I mean, it does, I think it's for 2 dark, it does 10, 60 more for each damage counter your opponent's active. Synergizes with Galarian Zagoon, some other cards, and then Galarian Weezing was what it was often played with.
Yes.
Um, I don't know, that didn't quite make my list, but I think that's an interesting. I think it was in my like top 30.
Okay.
And obviously it's a pretty good card. It's like the definition of a glass cannon is a 2-prizer with 170 HP that
Yeah.
is an attacker, but it was pretty good. Um,
It,
I don't. It was. I think it was pretty close to Weezing.
okay. I mean, I have like amongst my attacks, I have like 5 or 6 attacking Pokemon that I didn't include in my top 20, and that did not include Sableye, I'll say.
Okay.
Just because Sableye was good with Weezing for a bit, but then people figured out it's better without it, just because the 2 prize liability, right? You kind of had to
Well, I mean,
close the
people
game
replaced
out
it
to
with
play it.
Eternatus. Like that's what they did.
Yeah, and
So I mean, they're different.
the Galarian Moltres, right? Like the single prize Moltres. Let's
Well, yeah,
say,
people also cut the Weezing, and then they added Hoopa, which again also not on my list.
yeah,
Which I don't think neither of us are big fans of. Which does 90 if you swing in for 1 dark,
right.
but it's not as like impactful of a Pokemon certainly, and I definitely think doesn't belong on this list.
No, definitely not. And I played Hoopa some because I was the bigger Eternus player, but there's a period when that was in the list. But yeah, no, Hoopa was not there. I mean, look, Sableye was meaningful, but you didn't put it
Yeah,
on your
Hoopa got
list.
banned though.
It did. It did. I was in what is it? The Players Cup, right? Trying to qualify for it. I came up short, and I got my tournament list ready to play. And then that day I was ready to play, Hoopa was banned. I think I was like, oh, now what do I do? So
Yeah.
but so even though we hate on live, which is fair, PTCG was not all roses either.
No. But so and then what's your last attacker?
So my last attacker, which is so you have so you have Dragapult in your list, correct?
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
did I say that
You
already?
did, yes.
Okay, so I thought so. So
Oh, we didn't really talk about Dragapult actually. Let's talk
oh
about it.
yeah, you go ahead because you played
So
a lot more than I did.
yeah, I didn't actually play it that much, but it's a deck that I thought was very good. In Max Phantom, it's attack 130, and then put for 2 Psychic on a VMAX,
Yep.
then put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench in any way you like. It's one of the best spread cards of this one shield block, which is kind of a weird thing to say because there are a bunch, and then there's a pretty big like drop off between like the best and then like the next level. But it was quite good. Arguably, it
Yeah.
was the first good VMAX. I think that's actually not that arguable. That's probably pretty true. Um, it was quite good when it came out, and
Hmm.
and then it came back later on with well, you got the weakness triangle, which it involves Eternus, which is weak to fighting. It's dark
Hmm.
type. Dragapult weak to darkness. It's psychic type, and then you got certain fighting Pokemon that are weak to psychic, which or mostly Urshifu.
Right.
But those were later. But there's this weakness triangle that kind of kept all these cards relevant, but also not too broken.
Yeah, kept them from taking over. I mean, I always found Dragapult. It's on both our lists. I just always found it difficult to set up. Somehow, the two energies, right? Energy acceleration, like with both, like Eternus, Dragapult, getting the energies on was a challenge sometimes. So that was one issue. And then the put 5 damage counters wherever you want with Max Phantom was very nice, but it only did 130 to the active, and that's very underwhelming for a three prize Pokemon.
Yeah, later on it ended up being paired with Disruption, Path to the Peak, arguably one of the best cards in that block. It was pretty nice for Dragapult.
Hmm.
But I don't know, Dragapult is certainly a good card during its time. We'll decide whether or
Yeah.
not it belongs to the top
Yeah,
10.
no, it was a good card. It's yeah. And then my last attacker, which is again kind of a supporter, more of attacker, I guess, than Wheezing, and that's Zacian V, probably the poster card for Sword and Shield, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very good. It does 230 for 3
Yeah.
metal, but then it had cards to power it up. It can't attack your next turn, but it also had an ability that lets you not only draw 3 to end your turn, but if you hit any energies off those 3 you're drawing, you have to accelerate them as well to Zacian. I'm
Yes.
a control player. I play a lot of Rotom V, and Zacian V is
Hmm.
essentially directly better than Rotom V. Zacian's retreat cost is higher, but I mean it's a much better Pokemon than Rotom.
Yes. I mean, look, first 230. 230 is still a good damage number now because 220 is usually what you're at. So 230, and back then 230 was even a bigger deal. So that damage level was significant. The ability to set up tremendous, um, and obviously accelerating to itself. If you were playing a metal, you could play it even in non-metal decks for the draw sometimes, but usually you metal with the accelerate to itself was a very good Pokemon. It was a very good Pokemon probably the whole time. That's another factor too to me. Like how long was it impactful, right? Some of them were more short lived when they were big for.
Yeah, and
Sasha,
a lot of them,
go ahead.
so a lot of them started very strong, the ones we're going to be talking about, but then it fell off later on.
Yeah.
There are a few we'll talk about that started weak and then came in stronger at the end. And
Yep.
then there are obviously some that are just good the whole time.
Right. So right. So yeah, like I said, if it stayed strong longer, that's a plus. So I assume Zacian was on your list too, correct?
Yeah, that was on my list. I have a feeling that's going to end up in the
Top 10.
top 10. Yeah.
It's hard not to write. There's a couple of cards that seem obvious there. Zacian, such a good attacker, very useful ability. So those are my attackers. Do you want to talk about attackers for you, or should I talk?
Yeah, so
Good.
I'll talk about my attackers. I got how many more do I think you have 3 here.
Okay.
Um yeah. So I got 2 of them are lightning and one of them is colorless.
Okay.
So I'll start with the colorless one that I don't know if it belongs here, but it's Cramorant.
Okay. And
Uh
that was yeah that was on my. It didn't make the list for me, but it was certainly on my radar.
Yeah, and this one I made a list originally, and I didn't have it on my list. Then I added it. It has two actually pretty good attacks. The second one, I guess it's more important, is Spit Shot.
Yeah.
For 3 colors, it does 160 snipe to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Notably, this was partner for Welder, and
Yes.
in my opinion, the best Sword Shield era partner for Welder. The other contender was Scorch VMAX, but
Hmm.
I mean, okay, that's like hard that you like. I don't know. You just like seem to like ignore, which is fine, I guess.
Scorch. Well,
Yeah,
I can tell you why. For well, like you said, Welder, which was from the block before this, correct?
yeah. So when Mulder rotated, it was not good.
Which Welder lets you accelerate two fire to is it any way you want?
Anything. Into the
Active.
same
It's the
Pokemon,
same
but
Pokemon.
yeah.
Can be the active as well, unlike Gardenia's Vigor. And you drew cards too. So it was tremendous. So you could set up a Cramorant. So the discards. I mean, the attack Spit Shot. Right, you discard all energy from this Pokemon. 3 energy. Discard all. That's definitely a downside, but it
Oh
does
yeah.
it does 160 to any one of your opponent's Pokemon. And for those that remember when this came out early on, the Dene GX, which rotated before, it was pre Sword and Shield, but was a great card, right? Within one of the all-time great cards, probably you could discard your hand and draw 6 fresh cards on playability. So that was 160. They leave it on the bench, they sit there, Spit Shot, 2 prizes, kind of there for the taking any point in the game. So that was really a nice option with it.
Yeah, and then I also want to talk about two other things with this card. First of all, B catch for 2 color or for 1 color.
Yep.
Like you just search for 2 cards, which is pretty all right. We've seen attacks like this in the past
Mm-hmm.
be good. It's a bit of a weird one to use, kind of control oriented. But then we also saw it with we saw Cramorant VMAX. It's a weird coin flip based card, but
Yep.
that saw a little bit of play. I don't know. I think Cramorant V is an all right card.
Yeah, it was one that was in my initial 35 when I did whatever it was, however many, and then I didn't think it was as strong as some of the others. It was strong early, I thought, as part of it. It didn't carry on as well, I would say, as the game developed over time.
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm trying to think, but yeah, we'll see if it ends up making
I
the
mean,
top
I
20.
probably played this card more than you because I played the Tempo Zard box, which you didn't really play. And
Yeah, I
Cramorant
didn't actually
V
play this card though.
was in that deck, and it was a question of do I play 1 or 2 copies of it. Probably it always had it, so I certainly know it, and it's a very good card.
Yeah. Next up, moving on to the 2 lightning attackers.
Hmm.
Um, and I think these are two pretty. I mean, they're good cards. The first one is Vikavolt V. Vikavolt V has item lock. It does 50 for 2 for lightning colorless.
Yep.
Then also as an attack, 190 for 3, and you discard 2 energy attached to Pokemon, which isn't awful. You definitely use it from time to time.
Hmm.
But Vikavolt was good at the beginning
Yeah.
and was good at the end. It was like super good at the beginning
Hmm.
and super good at the end. Arguably the best deck in format at both periods. Well, actually, wait a second.
Well, right, because it had
Was it
Pika
ever
Rom.
was it ever in format with Rhydon? Maybe not, but it was good at. It was insane at the beginning, and it was decent at the end. I like saw playing like Lugia.
Yeah.
I think it
Some.
was good.
Yeah. Miraidon came in after this rotated, right? Because they were
Yeah.
together. And the electric generator didn't overlap with it. But yeah, no, Vikavolt V, very good card. Again, that like Cramorant was on that list of cards that I was considering, but I didn't feel like it made it the top 20 for me. But a very, very strong card for sure.
Yeah, it is the only attacker on the, or I don't know if it's the only one, but it's one of the only attackers on this list that was won I call it a pseudo world championship, the Players Online Global Championship, which was the replacement for the World Championship, and it was actually
Hmm.
the first one. It was a very big deal, and it won, and
Okay.
it was good. I mean, it was a peak ROM deck, but it was I think it played like 2 or 3 Vikavolt, so it was good.
Yes, no, it was a very good card, for sure. Deserves attention. Yeah, and obviously, item lock is powerful, and it still is, right? It's powerful. It always is an important thing. Pulling it off is not easy though. This did it
Uh,
pretty well.
oh yeah, like in general, like pulling that off wasn't that hard.
No, the Vikavolt is one of the easier item lock cards out there, right? You do need to get two energies on it, so you need energy acceleration. But yep. So
Okay,
yeah,
and then
go ahead. So I don't know what the other lightning is though. I knew Vikavolt was coming. That had to be.
so yeah, and then the other one is Raikou Amazing Rare, which I actually told you about this.
Oh yeah,
And that was so they're amazing rares that are they all take three different types of energy. And then they have a big, powerful attack, Raikou, for Grass,
yeah.
Lightning, Metal,
Metal.
120 to the active, and 120 when your opponent's benched. This was insane at the end. Like right before, when like the last two sets before it rotated, you got Lasso, and
Hmm.
Lasso could power this up in one turn. Not like the first turn, but in some point maybe turn like 2 to 3.
Yeah.
You get this powered up. You just like boost onto the board, and then your opponent's active and bench like dies, and then they concede. Maybe not, but and then it also had synergy. You could also play it with the Rayquaza Amazing Rare, and you play those two together. Rayquaza Amazing Rare, a really powerful one-shot Pokemon, and Raikou Amazing Rare, a great snipe Pokemon.
Hmm.
And the other one, other deck in which I saw play in was Lugia. I don't know exactly how much play it saw in Lugia because in Lugia you could also play um, Kyogre Amazing Rare, but I think Raikou Amazing Rare is pretty good as well. Um, Especially with its ability to one-shot Lugia, which is pretty impressive. You need a choice spell, but then you one-shot Lugia. Of course, they can't have like Dunsparce, but whatever. So you got Raikou Amazing Rare for that, and then and also you have the one-shotter in the Yveltal Amazing Rare instead of Rayquaza. But
Right.
Raikou here is this really powerful snipe-based Pokemon. Um, it was insane at that end period.
Yeah. Okay. So Raikou is the only of the amazing rares that you put on your list.
Yeah.
Um.
And we were talking about this a little. It's somewhat representative of the other amazing rares.
Yeah.
Um, Not exactly though.
Yeah. No, it was a good card. I mean, I was never a big fan of the amazing rares. The energy cost obviously was very problematic for all of them. That's kind of the thing, right? Does 120 to two Pokemon the same as Urshifu for one prize? Of course, Urshifu you could set up easier than this generally.
Urshifu could also hit two benched,
That's
which
true.
is yeah.
It was more flexible, yes. But of course, it was three prizes. That's a big trade off. Three different energy types. Now, one of the things I don't know that we're going to get into it, but in the energies, they did have special energies for all types during this block too, which is why with Lugia could power these cards up, right? It was a big change,
Yeah.
Lugia losing those energies. So, um,
Yeah. Although it mainly used Aurora energy as well, which we'll talk about, I think.
yeah. So, yeah. So, okay. So, those are all your attackers. And
Yeah, let me double check. And do you want to talk about honorable mentions as well or not right now?
yeah, for attackers, yeah, I had two others. Let me add Vikavolt to this list I have. Sorry as I'm going, but I had one you already mentioned, which is the Centiskorch. VMAX was
Yeah.
I was considering it because it was very good. Now I never played it twofold. It was good only initially when Welder was around. Once Welder rotated, I don't think it was that good after that. Partly just
Yeah.
the meta changing too, and also the economy of PTCGO. And we were newer players, so it didn't have as many resources. A new card like that was super expensive in PTCGO because it was trade based. So the new big card was very expensive. So I couldn't touch it when it was out. I could get it later on, but at that point,
Well,
it
it came out in the same time as Eternatus.
yeah.
And I
And
think the Sunscorch deck was probably cheaper than Eternatus.
I pulled I opened a lot of Darkness Ablaze packs, and I ultimately pulled a bunch of Eternatus pieces. So that's part of the
Okay.
randomness of it too. But anyway, and yeah, no. So Santa Scorch, and then Victini VMAX, because I also looked at
Wait,
Limit.
that rotated?
It wasn't that one. Oh wait, did I
No,
miss?
the
No, I'm
V
sorry. The V
rotated, but
rotated. I apologize. So forget that. Yeah, just the V rotated,
yeah, you could put Duraludon on too.
which made the deck better. Yeah, actually, Duraludon would be. So I forget that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I got confused
15
about
EV
that.
was all right, but
It
yeah.
wasn't that good. So yeah, so Senna Scorch, was a consideration, and that was kind of it for attackers for me.
Okay, I had one more, and that was one near and dear to my heart, and that is Decidueye. Decidueye is it
Hmm.
was pretty good. It was a good wall. It's immune to Vs and GXs, which were the multi-prize Pokemon. And there were a lot of decks playing those, so it was very good. Of course, if your opponent teched against it, it was not so good. But assuming they didn't, it was very good.
Right, you played that at the second POG championship and almost made top cut. You made day two easily, and was a win away from top cut there. So
Yeah, and it was a very good deck. Then overall, it was just a pretty solid deck because a lot of people aren't prepared for it. Um,
yes.
I don't know if it belongs to the top 20. It originally made mine that I cut it and then I added it
Hmm.
and I cut it. And
Yeah, I
yeah.
kind of considered it. Didn't get in my top 30, 35. Oh, the other card, which I didn't even get my top 30. At one point, I was considering Poltergeist, right? The Mad Party,
Oh yeah, yeah.
which I liked, and I think you probably enjoyed it too. That was a lot of fun. And Poltergeist was probably the best one in that it was an attacker, but it was also the engine piece for it too. So I was thinking representative partly of the Mad Party scene, Poltergeist. But again, it doesn't belong in the top 20.
Yeah, I also had that. And so I'll remove these from the list now. So I'll go with the engine pieces now,
Yep.
and I'm gonna start off with one that I hope you have, and that's Crobat VMAX.
Crow at V
Or
Max.
V
Whoa. Okay.
Crobat V. Okay.
Yes. I mean, yeah,
And
that's yeah. No, I figured. I was like, I hope I don't say V Max because the V Max is not a top 20 card. Um,
yeah, no. Just Crobat V. And you play Crobat VMAX. You play Crobat VMAX a
I
lot.
did. I really wanted it to work in that, and I was like a hit and run deck with wheezing, but it wasn't all that good, as what I will have to confess. So
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, you got Crobat V, which draws till you have 6 cards in hand. It was very good.
right.
Uh, it was always like a second runner to Dedenne until Dedenne
Hmm.
rotated. And Crobat was still always kind of like considered a worse Dedenne, but
Yeah.
Dedenne was, as we said, insane. And Crobat being second runner to that is fine. And then Eternidus, it was naturally synergetic with Eternidus VMAX.
Right. Playing Eternus,
Essentially required, I'd say.
right, because that was your engine. Eternus had no engine Pokemon, but you'd play four Crobat Vs, and because your bench was 8 wide, you could play four Crobat Vs over the course of the game. So, but yeah, I mean Crobat V, the dark asset's the name of the ability. It could attack. Attack wasn't great, but it was very universal, right? So many decks played it because this was you right, draw the F6 in hand. Obviously, you had to shrink your hand first, but just a really strong support Pokemon. This saw a lot. It was in just a ton of decks, so I think it's well deserving of the top 20.
Yeah. And then I also have, I think that's my only multi-prize engine piece.
Okay.
So I'll move on to let's see. I'll go to some colorless ones here.
Okay.
I actually have one, and that's Oranguru.
You only have one. Okay. I have another
Well,
colorless.
yeah, I think I know. Oranguru, which lets you put
Primate
up your hand
Wisdom
on top.
ability.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
lets you switch the card in your hand with the top card of your deck. This allows you to set up certain combos, notably
Hmm.
with Zacian, you can get an energy. It was, I guess it was good in uh,
It was good in Mad.
Colossal.
Yeah, none of us really played that. It was good in Mad Party
Yeah, Colossal
because
was bad.
like
Yeah,
you couldn't like you were always discarding your hand and couldn't discard your special energies, so you'd put back a special energy.
and
We
then you
have
get a special energy.
yeah, unfortunately sometimes, but at least it gave you hope for a moment. And I don't know, an item card that was in format was Rotom Phone that let you look at the top, well, which we might get to later. That paired well with Oranguru as well, and Zacian, as you said, right? I think did you say Zacian it paired with or
Yeah,
no? Because you would take an energy from hand a lot of times, you put it back on top of your deck. So when Intrepid Sword, you were guaranteed to hit at least one energy. That was one use in that deck. So yeah, it was a very good support Pokemon and useful in a lot of decks, I think.
yeah, and then it was even more good because there's essentially no shuffle draw that was played. So
Hmm.
you'd have like discard draw or shuffle onto the bottom of your deck, then draw. And in doing so, you'd always hit the card you have with Primate Wisdom, meaning that you could store
Right.
cards with it for the next turn, which is really nice.
Right. I mean, the main hand disruption cards we might get to later on caused you to shuffle, put on the bottom, and draw from the top. So you guaranteed to hit it with a Rangaroo then. So you'd either draw it for turn or you'd get forced into it during your opponent's turn. So yeah, a
Yep.
very
And then do you have one that starts with C and ends with O?
it does yes. So the mighty. Chinchino.
toe.
What is it? A
Yeah.
mouse? I don't know what the thing is.
It's a chinchilla.
Oh, chinchilla. Okay, that makes sense.
I don't really know what like a chinchilla is, but that's what it
No, I
is.
don't know either. That's just why. Yeah. Okay. I assume may probably looks like so Chinchino with the make do ability, which is what Curly is now, but you discard a card from hand and then you draw two cards. So one, it was one of it was probably the number two engine of this block, is what I'd say.
Um, yeah.
For single prize,
So you're, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm also comparing it. Think of Crobat, and arguably Crobat's better, but they're quite different.
yeah. Well, it's something you can reuse every turn. Let's say, right? In that
It's
Crobat
probably the
obviously
best.
is a single use.
It's probably the best. You could use every
Well,
turn.
that's true. I mean, we'll get into the
Yeah,
other
the
card
other
that
one,
is
yeah.
probably better than it, but it was that was yeah. This Chinchino, once it was down, you used it every turn, just like Curlia. So, helping that Malamar deck work that much better. That's what I would say it was for.
Something like that. But see, when I was thinking of Chinchino, I was thinking, what is its legacy? Because being in the Hall of Fame is about like your legacy, right?
Hmm.
And what did people like think of Chinchino? And Chinchino is always, what's this thing like second? It's not second trumpet, is it?
I'm not sure,
Like
but
a second,
it's
like
like
second
runner up.
behind.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think though for the One Players Cup, with the Urshifu deck with was it Azul or somebody played a Chinchino engine, I think, right, to win
no,
it,
and then
or top.
I think that was the second displaced Urshifu deck. Let me
Maybe it
look at this.
was. I don't remember, but it was but it was in some big time. It was a it was a meaningful card. I think it's a deserving top 20 card. I really do. But we'll see what else we have to put in. Um, right, it's very good as an engine piece,
Yeah,
right?
no, the number one build was the Jirachi build by Azul,
Jirachi.
and
Okay,
then
yeah,
Cord finished fourth with
Tordo, and
Chinchino.
he doesn't know anything. So okay,
Exactly.
so
No, I
Jirachi.
mean,
Yeah,
it came up short.
so it
So
came up. Yeah.
I think that's kind of what it's known for. It's known for being almost good. And like it's always, it's like worse than Jirachi. It's worse than the other one that we're going to talk about as well. And then we've seen
Oh,
before it, we had Zorak, yeah, GX, which was insane with the same ability. And then
yeah.
after we had Curlier, which is insane with the same ability, but
Although the
clearly better than Chinchilla in terms of play, at least better than
well, I
Chinchilla.
don't know if that's true. Look, it's a 90 HP Pokemon. Level Ball didn't come out for a while, but eventually it came out with some play, and Level Ball makes it that much better. The other thing is the attack on Chinchino is good, though.
I mean, it's usable. It's
It
like
was
all
usable,
right. It's
unlike
not.
most Curly decks can't use it. Look, 40 damage, and you accelerate an energy from the discard pile to your bench Pokemon. That
I think Ralts' attack is probably better than Chinchino's attack. The
if
good
you
attack.
but this is colorless. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you wouldn't really use it. You'd essentially never use this
It
attack.
wasn't ideal. Hey,
I mean, actually, that'd be weird situations, but like
hey,
very
you
weird
could take
situations.
out the Mad Partier, right?
Yeah, Bunnelby.
The Bunnelby, exactly. So it matched that perfectly. But yeah, okay. Look, Chinchino's a solid card. We'll debate later whether it belongs. Okay.
Okay. So let's move on to a Solitaire card. I'm assuming you have no more colors, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we'll move on to Drizzile.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, Drizzile, very good. Why would I like type in more things to Drizzile? Just the order of the Drizzile switch. What? Okay. Um, so yeah, Drizzile with this ability Shady Dealings, which
Yeah.
says when it's a stage one, again, less than 90 HP, so it's livable, searchable. When you evolve
Mhm.
into it, search your deck for a trainer and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this can get a trainer, which in turn can pretty much get anything.
Right.
Um, and then we saw the Inteleon, which I had on my list. Did you have Inteleon on your list
No,
or
I did
not?
not because it was one I considered and dropped out. But you have it on your list, right?
Yeah, I do. And that's the same ability, except you get two, but it's on stage two, and you use it to evolve from the Drizzile. And then there's also another Inteleon, which had its ability that lets you ping,
Right.
which was really nice. A nice, like, just simple addition. And
Hmm.
then you had the Sobble that let you set up other Sobbles as well, and other Rapid Strike Pokemon, which was, again, very good. Or decent. It was, like, good setup.
Right. I mean, the Sobble with Keep Calling came out later. The Inteleon with the pinging came out later. But and Level Ball came out later too because that's part of why Drizzile was a bit ignored. Chinchino was the better engine early on, right before
Was better
Drizzile.
than Drizzile, but it was
Yes.
still behind Dene and behind Jirachi as well.
Yeah, okay, all right. I get it. It was better than Drizzile, which you think is better though. Early on, Chinchino was better. I do think that
Yeah,
that's the
yeah, I think
case.
that's true. But
Um,
then it got surpassed, and Chinchino wasn't like great early on anyway. I can't like think of any
yeah,
Chinchino decks off the top of my head.
no, I mean, not great decks probably. I can think of lots of decks I played, but they probably wouldn't be great decks. But Drizzile became great, right? It was the best engine in the game for a long period of time. Towards the end, right, the last year of it being around, probably when you had
Level Ball, you had
Level
Scoop
Ball,
of Net,
Scoop of
you
Net.
had
Yeah.
Path,
You had
and then you
the
had these.
Sobble to keep calling. You had the Intellion that could ping. It was just tremendous, tremendous. And the one thing you didn't mention on the Intellion, which I guess that one was not on my list, Drizzile certainly was. The attack on Intellion was useful too. For Aqua Bullet, does 120 and 20 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It was an important attacker for some situations as well.
Yeah, there was like an Inteleon attacking deck essentially.
Yeah, so that's a little plus on that Inteleon. But Inteleon was a stage two. Drizzile, I think, is more prominent. Sometimes you'd play at least usually like three Drizziles. You might play one Inteleon in the deck, especially of the Shady Dealings Inteleon. So Drizzile saw was just used more. But
Yeah, yeah,
but
Duracell is definitely better than Inteleon.
but we'll get to that debate later on. So that both very good cards there, with the Shady Dealings being just a tremendous, tremendous ability.
Yeah, and then I have one more Pokemon on my list.
Okay.
Um, so that's Rillaboom. Which I wasn't sure whether I wanted to add or not, but I
Rillaboom,
ended up adding it.
wow.
Yeah, Rillaboom was good. Rillaboom had awful partners. Had a few good ones, and it went a long way with them. Like even Delmise, which was a garbage Pokemon.
Oh
Um,
man,
no, Delmise isn't like awful, but it's not great, and Rillaboom like made it better.
Rillaboom.
This
This
one I
is
wasn't.
the one with voltage beat ability,
Yeah,
correct?
so it lets you search the deck for two grass energy and accelerate them to one of your Pokemon. It was good. It was
Mm-hmm.
this was an era where stage twos weren't good and grass Pokemon also weren't good, but Rillaboom was
Right.
still able to see play, notably in their Route and Lone Executor deck, which was actually a pretty good deck. And then later on with I guess that was mostly you could play with like Delmise as well, which wasn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know about Rillaboom. I feel like Rillaboom is a good Pokemon,
It's good.
but maybe it doesn't belong.
I didn't make my list. It didn't make my consideration either, I will say. Obviously, it's grass only. I mean, and it was an ability you could use every turn. It's going two
Yeah.
energy every turn from deck. Tremendous. It's stage two. Stage twos were really awkward back then. And again, like you said, grass wasn't that good. I always loved to play Delmise and tried to get it work, which this kind of sort of made it work, or at least gave you a shot at it, I guess. But obviously that deck came up short still most of the time. Um, so it just the partners that it worked with, there weren't many strong decks that it went into historically, I'd say.
Yeah, if you want a reason to show why Rillaboom is good, though, Rillaboom's ability is essentially the same thing as Archeops. Archeops does do special energy, which gives it a
Right.
little more versatility, but in the current meta, that's mostly colorless.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's pretty much just like Rillaboom.
Yeah. Well, and Rillaboom's only one type also. But honestly, look, if this was in standard now, it would definitely. And now we have rare candy decks being a bigger thing too. It would definitely. Hey, I'd rather play this over my Fortress EX, and I'm willing to play Fortress EX. So,
Yeah.
I'd play this. Um,
Hmm.
so I have two other support Pokemon that didn't make the list, just to mention. One is Snorlax with the Gormadize.
Yeah, that's a good card, I guess. It didn't make my list either. But
So, which was you draw. Do you shuffle? You just draw. You draw to 7 cards. It has to be the active spot. You draw to 7 cards. Your turn ends. It was really a setup Pokemon, largely for single prize or counter decks, is what it was there for, or control decks.
yeah,
But
I
it was in.
personally found that.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
It was in a number of decks though, so it had that going for it. But like I said, it didn't make my list.
Yeah, I think it was. So as I said, I play control. I actually didn't play too much control during this time. It was actually really good and fun, but it was weird. And then because control actually had some cards banned, it was
Hmm.
weird, like actually banned. Unlike we were talking about Hoopa, which wasn't exactly actually banned, but
It was banned because
yeah,
the game wasn't handling it properly.
yeah, it was glitch, kind of like how
Yeah, like when
What's
the
been banned in live? Oh, it wasn't
like
like Mew or something banned in live.
well, like the ability lock cards, right, or whatever.
Oh yeah, like
Oh,
all like a bunch of cards.
right, got banned for like a month.
Yeah. But anyway, so the control actually had stuff banned.
Yeah,
Maybe one card banned, but Snorlax, I think it was generally outclassed by Zacian. Like, um,
yeah.
so that I think it's oftentimes not that good. It's okay. I mean, it's good, but it's not the best.
It was a consideration for a number of decks, is what I'll say. And then this other card, which wasn't as played, but I think I like it more, and you probably like this more too, and that's Galarian Meowth. I know that was a useful card. I would certainly love it to be back in standard again, right? Evolution Roar, you discard 2 cards to use the ability, which lets you search your deck for a Galarian Berserker. Most of the time, the decks didn't play the Galarian Berserker. That was the stage 1 that evolved from it, but it was just a way ability once per turn you could discard 2 cards, and discarding cards is very tough these days, right?
Yeah, but back then it wasn't.
It wasn't, but
So
you played it too. You did.
I did play. I played it in Mustard.
So it had its place. So anyway, it didn't make my list, but anyway, okay. So those are all the
And then I had
Pokemon.
one. I had
Oh,
one
did you have
more.
one more?
On my like extra list, which was
Okay.
LBSV.
Yeah,
LBSV.
I was tossing that one around. Yes.
It actually had its own attacking deck. Believe it or not. But have you heard of that deck?
It wasn't a control deck or a
Yeah, it was
spell.
like a control deck where you'd like attack with it and you like hit and run.
Right,
It
because
was
float up for 2 energy does 50 damage, and you shuffle the Pokemon and all attached cards into your deck. So it was a way to make your deck not run out, right?
yeah. And then also you get to play it again. And its ability here says when you play it, you recover a
Yeah.
supporter, you recover Cheryl, and then
From
you
your
jail
discard
forever.
pile into hand.
Yep.
Yep.
And then that's good. That's why I saw play. It was
Yes.
pretty good, but it wasn't probably quite good enough.
Yeah, it was in my thought too. It was like, I was kind of early days. I kind of kicked it around, but then as I looked around, it just didn't not good enough compared to everything else. But a useful card too.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, and that's it for Pokemon. So now
Yeah.
let's move on to let's do energies.
I have
Do you have
14
anything?
Pokemon, by the way. Do you?
I have in your life 13 now. It's fine.
All right, we'll figure
get
that out
back.
later.
Oh, I
Okay,
don't
so
have Rillaboom. I forgot to put Rillaboom.
that he was your
Yeah.
Pokemon.
I know.
All right.
Well, I'm rebuilding the list. Anyway, so
Okay.
let's do special energies. Do you have any?
Or
I have
energies,
one.
right? Can I use basic? Can I?
Oh
I
wait,
ha-
no, maybe I cut the special energy. Maybe not.
I have 2 energy, and
Are
there's
they
2 other
Aurora
good
energy and
ones to
Capture
mention.
energy?
Yes.
Okay.
So look,
So
Aurora.
you tell me why they.
You like Aurora? Well, I'll tell you Capture, because Capture I think is better, but you think Aurora is better. So you don't have
Yeah, I think
either
I'm
on your
gonna
list,
cut
by the
both
way.
of them. I don't know. I've like changed my list and I've lost it. So I don't remember if my
All right.
final list had Aurora.
You didn't have Capture. So Capture, I think, is the better one. It was in a lot of decks. When you play it, provides 1 colorless energy. When you play it from your hand to one of your Pokemon, search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it onto your bench. So
It's
most
Nest Ball.
Nest Ball and counts your energy. And there wasn't Nest Ball at the time, of course. So it's an
Yeah.
additional
Well,
Pokemon
Nest
search.
Ball's worse than the one that we had at the time.
Yeah, it depends, right? But we can.
I mean, I think it's almost like a 9. Like it's generally regarded as a worse card.
Okay, but we'll say. But Capture Energy was in a lot of decks, right? A lot of attackers have multiple energy. Most attackers take more than 1 energy to attack, and most of them take some colored energy plus some colorless energy. So it would pay for the colorless and set up your board, right? So it went into a lot of decks, so I think it's got a lot of versatility, and it was very useful. Just setting up, getting going.
Yeah, I think it was overplayed. I don't think it was that good. Um,
Oh
you know,
man.
I don't know. I just never was a big fan of the card. It was all right. Um,
So
like what decks played. I'm trying to like think, and I can think of some,
well,
but nothing like that.
the decks I
good.
liked to play played it. Ice Rider played it.
But Ice Rider doesn't want capture it because it's 2
No,
waters.
that's true. Sorry,
Inteleon.
the V. The Talion could. Suicune V played it for sure, probably because
Yeah.
that was one colorless, and you need that had the Intellin engine and the Ludicolo's, which that rotated too, right? By the way, that was a good card, but it doesn't
No,
make the.
Ludicolo didn't.
Oh, it's still
The
in format,
middle
right?
evolution
Yeah, I'm
one.
sorry.
The
That's
middle
right.
evolution.
The
version.
Lombre or whatever. You're right. Ludicolo is still around, but it was there were decks that played it. Blissey played it, of course. You never forget Blissey. Um,
Hmm.
so look, there were a lot of decks because I looked at Limitless too to see like kind of the top couple decks and looked at a couple lists for each of these blocks. Generally, a lot of lists played a couple Capture Energy.
Yeah, I didn't think it was over. I think it was overplayed.
Well, but look, if it provided your part of your attack cost, you had to attach those per turn. It helped you set up. It was potentially very good. So we'll get later
Yeah, it
what it
was an all
deserves in the
right
top
card.
20. And then the one you like more is Aurora, and I think this is not as good as Capture because it's better in some ways too. I right, so you can
Well,
attach,
arguably, it broke the format. So,
but not
yeah, but
exactly right.
well, I mean, it like became like arguably the best Sword and Shield deck ever.
Which deck was that? Oh, the
Lugia
ADP.
with Aurora, huh?
Yeah, ADP.
No, Lugia Vista
Oh, look,
with
that was
Aurora
at the
Energy.
end. Yeah, well, that's
That was so
because
good. That was like,
Lugia Archeops was broken. That was I don't
well, Lugia Caps isn't broken now.
well
It was
because
broken with
they got
Aurora
rid of all
Energy.
the energies. All right,
Well, yeah,
make
but
a
like
case
so,
for Aurora, and then I have something else I got to say.
Lugia, Archeops, and ADP.
So Aurora Energy, what it does if you don't know it,
Oh
because he won't
yeah.
say that, you attach it to a Pokemon. You have to discard a card from your hand to play it, and then it provides one of whatever type of energy you want. So very good. You had to discard, which usually was okay. So it gave a lot of flexibility. You like to play Zoroark too, and this certainly made Zoroark better as well. And unlike Luminous Energy,
Yeah,
you you,
I guess.
you
You
weren't
didn't see
limited to
too much
one
play.
special energy, right? In ADP. So
Yeah.
it was like early days, it was tremendous. Best deck and format with ADP, probably,
Yeah,
right?
I'll say I didn't see that much playing ADP. I saw playing ADP near the end when you added the
Mm,
bird trio, which wasn't a trio
mm,
because you didn't play the Articuno. But
yeah.
yeah.
And then with Lugia, it just made that deck broken. So it was look, it's a very good card. I think they both deserve consideration. These two energies. The other thing, which is the Lugia thing, is we did have a special energy for every type, which none of those I think deserve the top 20. But the fact that they existed was interesting. There are two other energies that were good. Twin energy, that doesn't make the list, but very good. Only on single prize.
Wait, but you said none of the other specific types are on your list, but there's only
No.
3 non-specific type ones.
Well, those eight, but you had for each of the eight types, you had a special energy. I'm just saying
So there's
collectively.
9. Powerful colorless is one. Is that on your list?
Well, that's not a that's I have two other ones that are like honorable mention. I have twin energy, which was very good, right? And that would be very
Yeah,
good
Twin
now
was good, I suppose.
on what like a non-rule box Pokemon, right, or something like that.
Yeah, non-V or GX actually. So
So if it was in standard now, you could play it on EXs. So it would be completely broken. It provides two energy without the reduction that DTE does. And then powerful energy was very good too.
yeah, which is a type-based energy.
I guess I don't think of it as that, but
I
because
know,
it
but it was. If you like look at them, I'm looking at them all visually. Actually, Twin looks kind of similar, but the others are all like identical, including Powerful, because
okay,
they're type-based.
I
Anyway,
guess it's a
so
type. That's kind of weird because I was looking at one of the poke at. Well, never mind. It has nothing to do with anything, so we'll skip that.
yeah, okay. And
So
then
Aurora
let's
and
see.
Capture on my list. Then that's it for energies.
Yeah.
Unless you want to say more.
Yeah, I think that's right. And then let's see.
All right.
Oh, sorry. Uh,
So
then we got 2 Pokemon search cards. We'll cover 2 for 1 here, which I'm assuming both
we're
on your
gonna do
list.
items first. There's items, traders, stadiums, tools. I have all 4 on my list, by the way.
Let's go through. Yeah, let's do items first.
Items is the most interesting of the bunch.
Okay, let's just do the others first then. Let's do tools. What do you have one? Is it air balloon?
I have 1 air balloon. Actually, I have 2. So air
2.
balloon, I have 2 because these are
Big
universal
charm.
cards. So air balloon, I wish this was in format now. It was tremendous. Retreat cost of a Pokemon card's attached to reduced by 2. Obviously, like a card like Zacian needed it. So right to get out, it provide one of your retreats. So a very good tool. Played in like most decks played this, right? And decks sometimes would play air balloon and not switch or rope because air balloon would get you there.
Yeah.
Is that it's not on your list though, correct?
It is. It is on my list. Yeah.
So all right, so both of us have that. So you agree, very good card.
Yeah. I don't know if it's
We'll
top
see how good.
10, but
Okay. And then the other is Big Charm, which you don't have, I assume.
no, I don't have big charm.
That's
I
the
think
only
it's
only tool you have is Airballoon, right? So
Yeah.
Big Charm, just hitting it quickly. A Pokemon gets plus 30 HP, and it works for any Pokemon. Rule box, non-rule box, basic, evolution. So it was a nice option. That's
I
what I'll
actually
say.
think that Cape of Toughness was better than Big Charm. Which
It,
is Cape of Toughness was actually is directly worse than Bravery Charm, but it's
well,
like plus 50
was
to
it
basics.
worse? Oh,
Well, it's no the Bravery Charm, the new one. It's directly worse.
Cape of Toughness.
Yeah,
Oh, because it's
but
because it wouldn't work on GXs. You mean?
yeah, but
Okay.
then but it's plus 50 to a basic, which is good.
Yes, Cape of Toughness was one that I had and got rid of.
Yeah, that one saw play. Big Charm didn't see that much play, I don't think.
It would go in decks. I mean, it
It saw
was
niche play from here and there, but it didn't like
okay.
make any decks.
Fair enough. And then the other tool, just briefly, Big Parasol, which
Yeah, that was a pretty good card.
especially at the end, right? Well, it had times early on as well, but would stop you from getting Sableye, would stop things like that, right? Later on. So
Yeah. So I think that's like it's a good card, but it's not that
it
good.
wasn't used most of the time though, so that's why. So I have
Oh
air.
wait. There's one more we should probably talk about as well. One that
Okay,
oh, this didn't win the world championships. I think it might have came second. But
okay.
that's Memory Capsule.
Oh, that okay. So memory
The
capsule.
Jolteon, which turned off Inteleon, right? Which we don't have
Oh
Jolteon on
yeah.
the list.
No. So memory capsule. The Pokemon this card is attached to, and these were items back in the day, as well as being tools. This attached to can use any attacks from its previous evolution. So that's what it did. That was the memory, remembering the older attacks. And then
Yeah,
the Jolteon was if you had memory capsule attached, it turned off abilities of water Pokemon. Was that what it was?
yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve to be on this list, but it
No.
was a good card. It did, I think, came second at Worlds or something.
Okay.
Supporters, I have one. Wait, do I have one supporter? Or no, wait, no, we have stadiums.
Stadiums.
Let's do
Yes.
stadiums next. I had one stadium, which was training court.
Yeah, that's the one I have as well. Very, very
And I
good.
got it. Yeah, and it recovers us. Once your turn, you can recover a basic energy from your discard into your hand, which is good.
Yes, I mean very good. It went into a number of different decks. And it was useful, and there were some decks that kind of really leaned on this that you needed to get those energies back. So it was good.
Mustard.
Your mustard deck because you had nothing in hand, yes, to make it work. So you could do that and pull off your Beedrill attack, right, or whatever you had to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's like the only way to guarantee energy, but essentially. So yeah, that was a card.
Yeah, it was a good card. The other
Yeah.
stadium, which I didn't quite make it, but it was close. Didn't make the cut at the end. Is Galarmine, right? Increased retreat cost by 2 of both active Pokemon. Good
Yeah,
for counter
Galamine's
decks.
pretty good. Well, control decks.
Yes, and Leafeon
Um,
VMAX too.
yeah. I guess it was very good for Leafeon, which was actually a very good deck. I think Galamine actually might be better than Training Court.
It,
I don't know. I was just kind of flip flopping. I'm gonna pop both in my list.
all right,
And
I'll put
then
Galarmine in as well then.
yeah, and then let's see. Supporters. I just have one supporter.
Yeah,
And that supporter is Marnie.
I gotta say I was shocked when I put it together that I realized I only had one supporter I wanted in the top 20. That I was just so surprised by. I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean Boston like research are like so good that
Right.
they actually like shut everything else out, and Boston research aren't in contention for this list, and presumably will never be in the Hall of Fame. But that's fine.
Because they're never going to rotate.
Yeah.
Boss has been out, right? They could bring back Guzma or something,
No,
right?
the boss. Well, no, these both Boston research were first introduced in Sword and Shield.
Okay,
So if we look back further, we can see equivalent cards: Lysander, then Professor Juniper, Professor Sycamore, and then Guzma is also there, which is different. But
right.
yeah, that's before.
So yeah, so Marnie, each player shuffles their hand into their bottom of their deck, puts it on the bottom of the deck. If the player that plays the card draws to 5, the other opponent draws 4. So
Yeah, which is
similar to
good.
Judge. That's where
And
I
also
mark.
similar to Iono. Kinda.
Yes, I mean it's marginally it's better than Judge almost always because you get one more card, but it's just that little bit better, right? Because
Yeah,
shuffling
I mean
going
drawing
to
extra cards like quite good.
It is, but yeah. So look, it was very good. It was in basically every deck. You had Boss, Research, and Marnie, and then it's just a matter of what counts of each of those three cards that you played, right?
And you might have Welder as well,
That's yeah. But
which
once
was
once
earlier on.
Welder
Yeah.
rotated, often other supporters
And then
would.
you'd play Melanie, and then you can play Melanie instead.
Yes, I love to play Melanie, but yes, but that wasn't so universal, right? The Marnie was in basically every deck. I downgraded Marnie a little bit in that Judge came out before Marnie rotated, right? And Judge is just a little bit worse than Marnie. It's worse than Marnie, don't get me wrong, but almost always, right? It shuffles in rather than
Yeah.
going to the bottom, but you get one less card, but only one less card, right? So
Well, yeah, I wouldn't downgrade Marnie because it's good. I think that's
I
silly.
guess the fact that there was another card that almost did the same thing almost hurts at my mind. But look, Marnie was
Yeah.
great. It deserves to be in the top 20, no doubt. The other supporter I had that almost made the list was Birdkeeper.
Yeah, Breadkeeper switched draw 3. It's a decent card as well.
And it was in a number of decks. This might have been after Research Boss and Marnie, the next supporter for general play. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But it's a big
Leon's also
drop off.
decent,
Yeah,
which is just plus 30.
yeah, Leon, yes. Leon plus 30 damage that turn. Yeah, was good. And if it was around, it would certainly see play today, I would imagine.
Yeah, but not too much. I didn't see that much. But then we get into the items, which I
Yeah.
have, not counting tools, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right, I have five
So,
too, so maybe we'll see if they're the same.
okay, so I have Quick Ball.
Quick ball, no
So,
one. Yeah, that's that.
yeah, so Quick Ball, arguably the best card on this list. Discard a card from your hand, and then search your deck for a basic, put it into your hand, then shuffle your
Right.
deck. Pretty much every deck in the game played for Quick Ball. It was very, very good.
Right, and unlike Nest Ball, now you have to discard, but having some discard is good generally. Discarding one's not prohibitive usually, and then it allows you to use on play abilities, which Nest Ball does not allow you to do. Right, that's kind of where Quick Ball is generally better than Nest Ball. It goes into hand, not onto the bench automatically.
Yeah, and activate discard. Right now, there's literally no card in the game, I believe, that discards just one card from your hand. Paradox Rift will actually be introducing cards like that, which is super cool. But as of now, there's
Yeah.
not.
We
So
have the
Quick Ball
stadium.
which stadium?
You discard one, draw one, don't you? Isn't
Oh,
that
it's an item. Discard of an energy. Draw 1.
okay? All right.
So not as stressful.
No. So quick ball, super good for getting stuff in the discard, and just super good for getting Pokemon. And of course, you had Crobat, you had the Dene on play abilities. So quick ball, just yeah, 4 quick balls every deck basically. It deserves to be there.
Yeah, and then I have a card that I originally forgot, but then I added in. That's Evo Incense. Search check for an
Yes.
evolution Pokemon put in your hand. It's essentially the other side of Quick Ball.
Hmm.
Obviously, not evolution decks you wouldn't play it, and there are even some evolution decks where you wouldn't play it. But overall, it's very good.
It's super.
It
I
was
mean,
broken with Inteleon because it essentially turned into do whatever you want, and
right.
like you can literally do anything this turn.
Well, and we have in Ultra Ball now, but discarding two sometimes, a lot of times, doesn't feel good. I think you'd acknowledge that too. So just getting that one evolution, super good. This is a card, one of the few. I put this near the top list of cards I wish I had an option for deck building today.
Yeah, that's probably true. It depends on the deck you're running, but
Because there's
I don't know.
there's not a good replacement for this card today. There's discarding two, like I said, with Ultra Ball can be rough. So
Yeah, and I'd say Ultra Ball is kind of covering double duty of Quick Ball and Evo Incense, which
yeah.
a lot of decks played for both.
Hmm.
And then the next best card is, I guess, Capture Aroma, which is okay, but it's not great.
Right. But yeah, but Evo in this one's one where I think at the time we wouldn't have losing Evo Incense didn't seem like that like one of the top cards we were losing. But I think as time's gone on, to me, this is one of the top cards we lost.
Maybe. I mean, it's a very good card. And then let's see. I also have Ordinary Rod.
Yes.
It's kind
I
of like
have that
Super
too.
Rod, except it's two Pokemon and two basic energy. I mean, it's good. It's essentially Super Rod.
Right, which is better is situational, right? This can get you 4 cards, which could be better, but this it's you can't get 3 of one or the other. It's up to 2 of each
Yeah.
Pokemon, up to 2 and basic energy.
Yeah, and then I also have what was it? I think of and then I had arguably another one of the arguably best. That's Scoop Up Net.
Right, which we mentioned
Where
before, and that's just tremendous. Again, this is a card I guess would be broken now if it was in standard like
I mean,
this.
it's kind of broken in Lost Zone.
Yes, it was, but now
You
with
could
the
you could
EXs,
stabilize turn one. Oh, you can technically still stabilize turn one, but you could you could definitely Mirage Gate turn one. That was definitely a thing that happened.
well, and now they have other things like Jet Energy and Switch Cart too that weren't around early on. It was
Well, yeah, but Scoop Up Net allows you to pull off.
you could reuse the
Wait, when
same
did Switch Card
card.
come out? When did Switch Card come out?
I don't remember. Well, I think that you. I don't think Switch Cart was in the original Lost Zone set, was it?
I don't remember. Maybe not.
Uh,
Yeah, it was Astral Radiance, so it was out. People just
okay.
play Rope and then Switch. Or no, they played Rope and Net.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't play
So Scoop Up Net
Switch Card.
though, it allows you put one Pokemon that isn't a V or a GX into your hand, discard all attached cards. So you'd lose energy tools, but you'd scoop up your Sobble and Drizzile and maybe your Teleon. You'd play back down the Sobble and get ready for the next turn. Tremendous for that. You'd scoop
Or
up.
more likely play some other play back down a Sobble, evolve another Sobble into a Drizzile, and then maybe even evolve one of your other Drizziles into an Inteleon.
Correct. You do right. You do right. Well, right, and then you might play those down that turn still and stuff. It was crazy. A deck, right? It was great for a lot of decks. It was great for the Reggie's deck because you had the Reggie Drago that drew to 3 in hand, right? But you could get it out of play
4.
easily, 4, and you could scoop it up, and then you could even use it again on the bench, right? Did it draw? No, it had to be the
I
active.
mean, yeah, you can only use one per turn.
Okay, but
You could reuse Regigigas though.
okay, and
Which you wouldn't really need to do because you don't need 6 energy.
Oh,
But whatever.
right. Sometimes. Oh, so it let you reuse things. So your the goons, which you mentioned for the pinging, obviously sometimes key for that. If you enjoy playing Lunatone Soul Rock, you could increase your acceleration for big damage on a turn. It gave you some retreating. It could get rid of a damaged Pokemon. It was just a terrific card.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Arguably one of the best cards ever. And kind of broken and expanded as well. And then the last one.
Okay.
Let's say it at the same time.
Oh, I don't.
3, 2, 1. Metal Saucer.
No, that's not what I have. So I thought.
Yeah. Do you have Capacious Bucket?
No. All right. So what do you have? What do you have? You have Metal Saucer.
That's last.
Okay. Well, go ahead for Saucer, and I'll give you the real one that belongs.
I mean, Saucer, Zacian was broken because of Metal Saucer.
No, there's no. Look,
and
what's Saucer do?
Oh yeah, you accelerate a basic metal from your discard to one of your bench metal Pokemon.
Yep.
Same thing as Dark Patch. Same thing as Aqua Patch. Both of those.
Yep.
Actually, I don't know how good Aqua Patch was. Aqua Patch was all right. Dark Patch was when it first came out, super broken, and now it's actually not that good. But Metal Saucer was insane. Zacian was arguably the best attacker in the game ever, and Metal Saucer helped out a lot. It allowed you to turn 1 ADP. It was very good.
No, it was a tremendous card. Now, obviously,
Luke Metal as well.
Right, Luke Metal, Zacian V, which was Zamazenta V, which was very good for a while there.
Dialga as well.
And Dialga was better for it. Yes. So look, a very good card. I don't. It was actually probably the 21st card on my list. So it just made the cut. I just didn't miss. It just missed the cut. I gotta say. So it's very good, very good. You mentioned some other good ones. The other card that I have though is Rotom Phone. Don't sleep on Rotom Phone. See, I knew you were gonna hate on that, but I
played it in Mustard.
It's a very good card. You look at the top 5 cards, your deck, choose one of them, and shuffle the other cards back onto your deck, and you put the card you chose on top of your deck. So it sets the top card. We just talked about Zacian V. You just said how great it was, partly because of Metal Saucer, but partly because of Rotom Phone. Don't forget that.
And I don't really remember people playing Rotom Phone too much.
What made Oranguru so great? Rotom Phone.
Oranguru was good. No, most Rotom. I don't know. You could do
Rotom Phone was good. What made Mew so good? At one point, Rotom Phone too. Rotom Phone. You put your stadium back on with Rotom Phone, so you could bump Path after they Marnied you. It was.
Well, you just use
right. They play your Path.
Or you could just use Oranguru,
Well,
Rotom Phone isn't a garbage card, but it's not like a
I think
particularly
it
good
was more
card.
universal than the metal saucer. So anyway, that made my 20th spot. So I thought you might be a hater, and you are. So, okay,
I was like, are you gonna pull out something crazy? And you did. Not like
okay.
a good crazy though.
Rotom Phone was a better card than it gets credit for. It still is. Still not getting the credit it deserves. Okay, we've been going at this for a while though. So
Yeah.
we need to come up with 10, right?
Yeah. Well, let's do the top 20 first, I think.
Okay, we got
So right
27
now,
here.
how many cards do you have?
I
I
have
have
27.
25.
Okay,
27. Wait, what do you have? How many Pokemon? 14.
14, 11, and 2.
Sorry, can you read your trainers off? I did not add Rotom Fan. I'll tell you that.
Training Court, you got to put it down. Training Court, Ordinary Rod, Quick Ball, Air Balloon, Incense, Rotom Phone, Big Charm, Marnie, Net,
Oh, I
Gallermine,
forgot Net,
Metal
apparently.
Saucer. Net,
So,
Net, Net deserves it. Net's probably a top 10, I got to say.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
So
so first of all, I think we should probably cut. So we need to cut down the 7. Wait.
I have 27. Are you at 27 now?
Yeah, I'm at 27 here. So let's see. What should we cut? I think we should cut.
You want to look at the trainers now?
I think we can. I think we cut Rillaboom. I don't think Rillaboom belongs here.
I agree. I agree. Rillaboom's, yeah, that was very situational.
And I also think we cut Rotom Phone in the top 20.
Rotom Phone? I think it's top.
Yeah.
I don't think it's top 10. I'll say yes because I don't believe it's anyways top 10. But
Yeah.
it's close. I think it's close. That and all right.
I think I'd probably cut both stadiums as well. I don't think
both
they're that good.
stadiums.
Yeah.
I guess
They're good, but yeah.
All right, I'll cut the stadiums. They're not top 10. I don't think so. It's
Yeah.
it gets a little tricky. We got to cut 3 more.
So what do you think we should cut?
Let's see. Looking at the trainer, maybe Big Charm, but let's see what else we have. Big Charm would be the
I
one
think
I
it's
cut.
probably Pokemon. Oh yeah, no, let's cut Big Charm. Let's cut Big Charm.
Well, let's take
I
a look
could
at
add
the
Training
Pokemon.
Court. I think Training Court's better than Big Charm.
Well, all right. I want to take a look at the Pokemon before we cut All right, do you want to put Training Court in?
Yeah, let's do Training Court.
All right, we'll cut Big Charm.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
This video went longer than I thought, which I should have expected because it always does.
Yeah, we got a little sidetracked, but that's part of you're remembering the good old days, right?
Yeah.
So,
let's we could cut.
I don't think the Amazing Rare belongs. I think that was very niche. I think it was a little too niche for me.
That's fine. Yeah, it was only good for a few sets.
And it was with a very specific set of other things to power it up, right?
Yeah, I think we should probably also cut Cramorant.
Because it was good, short-lived, right? Okay. So
yeah, and it was pretty niche as well.
yeah, so we're down to 1 card to cut, right?
That's easy capture energy. No, we can keep capture.
The Pokemon are
I think
decent. Could be one of the energies. I'm not sure which energy to cut though, right? To me,
I think it's one of the. Yeah, we could cut. You could cut Aurora if you want. I think that's fine.
I mean, I don't think either energy makes the top 20. I do
10.
think they're both top 10. Sorry. We could cut Training Court still.
No, we can cut Aurora. You want to cut Aurora?
Yeah, let me just look at these Pokemon a second.
That was broken for like 1 set.
You want to keep Vikavolt, right?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll cut Aurora. Because that made Lugia insane, but we don't need to. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then narrowing this down to the
top 10 to get the definitive top 10 list. All right. I mean, to me, certain ones are musts, right? Hang on a second. I got to sneeze. You can talk a second.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to like make my decks. I can't spell.
All right. So look, with Zashi and V's in the top 10, right?
Yeah, Zacian is definitely in the top.
So 10. I'm just gonna say that Crobat V is in the top 10, right? No doubt. You think it's okay? Wow, that's a doubt for you. Okay, Drizzle's in the top.
I don't know. I think Drizzle's definitely in the top 10.
We can cut some out too, but also, I don't think Vikavolt's top 10 material. I gotta say.
Probably not. I think going Zigzagoon's not top 10.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I agree. It's not top 10.
I think. Let's see.
So I cut that out. I think 19. So you want to drop Capture Energy?
Yeah, let's drop Capture Energy. That doesn't feel quite strong enough.
Okay, that's fine. I think you're probably right. I mean,
You said no Vikavolt. I guess that's fine. It was good right when it came out, and it kind of fell off.
yeah. I mean, I think there's just. I mean, yeah. I just think there's too many things that are better than it to make the list.
Yeah, and I think Inteleon isn't either.
Okay. In a certain sense, Drizzile represents that a bit too, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, Drizzile's definitely there. Um,
Oh,
and
and
then
then Quick Ball also has to be there.
Quick Ball, yeah, that's and Marnie has to be there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those are ones like, and I think Air Balloon.
Scoop up.
Oh, Scoop Up Net has to be, yeah. That's like one of that's a huge missing card from the game now, right?
Yeah, and it's very good.
So Training
Um,
Court gets dropped. Did you say?
yeah, I didn't say that, but I think
I
that's
think it
fair.
does, right? It's not. So we're down to 15.
I think Land Weezing probably has to get cut. Like it was good, but I don't
Okay. Yep.
think it makes sense.
I think you're
Um,
right about that.
let's see. I think Chinchino gets cut.
You know, my boy. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
as I
think.
said, it's always been it's just like a loser. Like
Oh, man.
I know
Yeah.
that's harsh, but
No. I mean,
kind of
look.
true.
Crobat still, I think, makes it, but let's see
Yeah,
here.
I think Crobat makes. I think
Does
let's see, we got
Eternatus make it?
13. Yeah, I think Eternus has to make it. I think Eternus is above Dragon Ball. I think Rangoon probably gets cut. Like it's good, but I think putting it at the top 10, it's a bit lackluster of a card.
Yeah. It was. Look, it's very good, but I think it's not. I mean, you could make the argument it is. I think, but I think it comes up short. So,
Yeah.
um,
Do we could drop Metal Saucer? I feel like you kind of want to drop Metal Saucer, right?
I would like. I mean, it's obviously only metal decks. Now it was some good decks early and late. It was mostly early, right?
Yeah,
You
I'm
had
fine with
Duraludon
cutting Metal.
too, but when you had
Drellon didn't play it that much though. I think Dialga played it. Like Dial, it was good in Dialga, but like,
yeah,
Dialga wasn't that good. I'm fine with cutting Metal
yeah, I
Saucer.
think Metal Saucer's out.
Let's see.
I have 11.
Yeah.
I have
Let's
six
see. So
trainers. So Air Balloon, I think I want on the list. That one maybe.
yeah, I think so. We said so. I think Evil Instance has to stay. I think
Yeah, I think
Rod also stays. Rod's weird because there's Super Rod.
Yeah, Rod's kind of on the
Which
fence.
went
I would
out at the
say.
same time. Like, yeah.
I think
Um,
Rod's on the chopping block, and then
yeah.
let's see for Pokemon.
I'd actually no. I'd keep Rod over Red Balloon.
Wait. Oh, I haven't cut Dragapult, so I would say we could cut
Yeah.
Dragapult.
I don't know about that. I think that's the lowest Pokemon or
Well, Zacian,
Crobat.
Drizzile, Eternatus, Crobat stay, right? So
I don't
Dragapult's
know. I could cut Crobat.
Crobat.
Probably not.
No, you
It's
can't
like
cut Crobat. You can't cut Crobat.
Crobat wasn't like that good. Like I saw lots of
It
play.
was in
I
so
guess
many
I'd cut
decks,
Dragon
so
Ball
many
over
decks, right?
Crobat.
All right, well, let's see. Or
Yeah.
we got to cut a trainer. So Marnie stays, Net stays, Incense, Quick Ball. So then you have Air Balloon or Nair Rod or Dragapult. I think it's one of those three cards to go.
Yeah. I guess it's Dragon Ball.
All right. I mean, I could say see or Nair Rod maybe. I would say.
No, Nirvana's like super good. Like there was like a time we didn't have it. There's like
And
a
it
one
was a big
set thing,
loss.
and
I
it was like
agree. No, you're
yeah.
right. And I
So
think
we got it. I think you don't like Dragon Ball, so I think
I'm
you're
not the
like
big Dragapult lover. So yeah. So we only
yeah.
have one pure attacking Pokemon in Eternatus, right? Because Zacian's an attacker, but the ability
Yeah.
was important too for it.
I mean, so is Eternus' ability. No.
Well, but that was just so it could attack, basically.
Yeah, but I think yeah, I think this is a solid. I mean, these are all very good cards.
Yeah.
We saw more. I think the top 20 was more Pokemon, but now the top 10 is more trainers, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because the trainers, yeah, because they're in a lot of decks, almost all the decks, these cards, and they were so key to the games the whole time, right? So yeah, I mean, there's one or two cards at the fringe. I think the top eight's probably pretty locked in. Maybe if that's where you had the cutoff, right? Something. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
We
I
don't.
think this top 10 is pretty good. I think like Air Balloon or Nirvana definitely belong here as well.
Mhm.
I think they're like very good cards.
So we have the definitive top Hall of Fame top 10 cards from the D block, and I'll read it through here. Zacian V, Drizzile, Eternatus VMAX, Crobat V, Ordinary Rod, Quick Ball, Air Balloon, Evolution Incense, Marnie, and Scoop Up Net. Is that
Yeah.
sorry?
Yeah. I think that's good. These cards like belong in Hall of Fame, I think. So yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm happy with this.
Yeah. So obviously, let us know what a card you think should be here, or a card if there's a card we missed that maybe deserves some consideration. Let us know. There's something that we have in the top 10 that you think just is a mistake. Let us know that too.
Yeah. Oh, and the next time, or I don't know about next time, but in the future, we're gonna do both, not together, but we're gonna do the ones that are rotating soon and the ones that rotated
Rotated
before this.
before
So
this.
if you have cards you want us to talk about, leave those down below in the comments as well. And we're excited to see you next time. So subscribe as well if you enjoy it. Like the video, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Is this going on Spotify?
It's coming out on Spotify, so it's on your podcast player as well. Although we're making it more visually focused, I got to say. So I don't know if it'll keep going on podcast indefinitely. We'll see. If you want it on the podcast, let us know. Let us know in the video in the YouTube though, because that's where we'll see the comments. If you like it on the podcast player, we can keep making that happen too.
Yeah, our YouTube channels are what's it called? It's the link youtube.com/@10types, the 102IPES, and then Uncommon Fossil
With one M.
UNCO, yeah, with one M.
So that's the way you got to spell it. So thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and have a good week.
Yep. See you.